Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me as I rank all of the Flee the Facility legendary hammers. There are so many hammers to go through, so let's get started. I broke these down into categories. There's the top tier, high tier, mid tier, and for the lower tier, I broke it down into 3 different groups. And I came up with this list of values after hundreds of hours of trading and a lot of experience. And I've based it on the supply and demand of what I see people wanting in the trade chat and then what I see people never offering for within their own inventory. And of course, my own personal preference on which hammers I like best, which means that you might disagree with me on a few of the values, and that's totally okay. So just like the video and leave me a comment. Tell me what I got right and what I got wrong and what you would put each of these different hammer values at. So let's get into it. For the top tier, I start off with second anniversary because it is technically the rarest and oldest hammer. It's not the prettiest, but it is the hardest to offer for and get an accepted trade for. And then I followed that up with the 2019 hammer for the same exact reasons. These aren't the greatest hammers to have, but they are the most valuable in my opinion and the ones that people are trying to get the most when they are collecting. Next up is the elusive Spooky Brew. So this is the hammer that everyone wants in their inventory. It's really tough to offer for, and it's definitely cool looking, but I would say that that actually does go behind second anniversary in 2019. And then next up is pumpkin slice. So I love this hammer a lot. The only thing that I would change about it is that I wish that this slice was the part that hit everybody when you were beast instead of the dull pumpkin side. And that's where you might disagree is with what's up next. I put Lucky Top Hat as the next valuable hammer because it's technically the hammer that fewer people have, and so fewer people are going to be able to trade it, and you're going to have a hard time even finding somebody who has one. So where you might disagree is that Bone Crusher comes next. So this is definitely a more wanted hammer, but really if you like Dark Bone more, then I'd say it's fine to swap these 2 values, but technically speaking, Lucky Top Hat goes before Dark Bone. So what can you trade to get one of these top tier hammers? Well, I just did a video on how I traded my second anniversary set for a Dark Bone set and a Classic set. And you'll see in my next section that Classic is a high tier value hammer, so I think I made out pretty good, but it goes to show you that offering for a second anniversary is going to take a bit of work and you're going to have to give up a set that you really, really like in order to get it. And what about for pumpkin slice? What can you trade for that? Well, I recently traded mine for 3 different sets. And I broke the trade into 2 different trades. I gave the slice hammer for a Santa chimney set and a Mothership because I wouldn't trust trade anybody. And I broke the second trade up for the dark ghost gem. I got the red nutcracker set and the alien gem. So 3 pretty good sets just for my pumpkin slice set. Now we move on to the higher tier hammers. So same as second anniversary in 2019, 2020 isn't a pretty hammer, but it's a really rare hammer and it obviously isn't going to be coming back. So it gets my first place slot on the higher tier hammers. And next up is Santa Chimney. So you might disagree with this one too, but I put it before Toy Santa because I hardly ever see anyone with a Santa Chimney set in their inventory. And I've seen way more people offering their Toy Santa, but rarely a Santa Chimney. But if you like one more than the other, they're pretty interchangeable. If you really want a Toy Santa, then that one slides up a little bit on the value list. Next up is the red nutcracker, and this set costs Robux and is sometimes hard to get people to part with. So I did put it before my next value hammer, and that's the Classic set. So Classic is traded more often than the red nut set in my opinion, and that's why it kind of completes our higher tier hammers. Now moving on into the mid-tier hammers. This is where I kind of get stuck. So 1 billion. I'll be honest, I just didn't know where to put this, and that's on me. I personally don't like this hammer very much, so I don't give it a high value, but it is definitely a hammer that you need in your inventory if you're collecting. And I actually don't disagree with somebody who thinks that this should be on the higher tier. Just for me personally, I'm not gonna offer a lot for it because I just don't like it as much. But if you think it belongs somewhere else, definitely let me know in the comments. Next up for me is the Witch Hunter. So this still has a lot of demand. I see so many people asking for it in the trade chat, and I would say that it's the most valuable of the hunter hammers for sure, so I put this one up next. Following that is the Light Bone Crusher, and that one's right up there on the value list as well. Of course, everyone wants a Dark Bone Crusher set, but the Light Bone is not a shabby hammer, and some might even say that it's a smidge better than the Witch Hunter. So it's, again, up to personal preference on which one you like best, then that's going to take the next slot. And then we have the Warlock and the Alchemist. So this is definitely all about preference. Which one do you like more? And then that hammer would be next. But I think that they're very even as far as the value line is concerned. Some just like the yellow, some like the green. So in my mind, they're a really even trade. And the same goes for Coffin. So Coffin and my next valued hammer, Tombstone. If somebody needs Tombstone, they're gonna offer higher than they would for Coffin and vice versa. And I think that these are pretty even on the value list too, but Coffin just might edge out Tombstone a bit. And that's why I'm gonna go ahead and put Coffin ahead of Tombstone, because I do find that people will offer just a little bit higher for Coffin usually than Tombstone, unless they really need Tombstone. And finally, on the mid-tier level is Mothership. So many people just starting out trading in Flee the Facility think that this is the greatest hammer, and I actually did too. I still really, really like it, but it is not the most valuable hammer. And so if you're looking to offer your Mothership for, say, a Dark Bone set, chances are you are not going to get that trade accepted. But if you want a Mothership, anything on this mid-tier list would probably get one for you. So it's really important to understand how valuable your hammer is in your inventory so that you can go ahead and trade accurately, get your offer accepted, but then also not over trade. And so now we're going to move on to the lower tier hammers. And like I said, I broke these into 3 groups because each group is pretty similar to the other one. And we'll start off with group 1, and that has Dave Pumpkins, Little Tree, 3rd Anniversary, and Snowman. So you might say that 3rd Anniversary is higher than Little Tree, or maybe even higher than Dave Pumpkins. And you might be right, but I think that you'd find someone to trade any of these 4 for any of the other 4 on this list. So the only thing that I would say as far as value is concerned is that Snowman is probably the least valuable of these 4, but if somebody wants Snowman, they're certainly going to trade a Dave Pumpkins or a Little Tree for it. And so that's why I'm putting all 4 of these in the same group. Now moving on to group 2. So this group has the 2021 hammer, the Blue Nutcracker, and the Krampus chimney. And I think any of these 3 are a pretty even trade for the other one. They're all Christmas legendaries and fairly easy to trade for. Plus a lot of people have them, so the supply is up, but the demand is a bit lower. And that's why I think you could easily trade a Blue Nutcracker for a Krampus and vice versa. Even throwing in the 2021 set in there, I think that that's an easy trade for any of these as well. And then we come up to the Toy Elf and the VIP Banhammer. Both of these are pretty even, but if I was offered, 3 or even 4 good seasonal epics for either the Toy Elf or the Banhammer, I would definitely accept that offer. Even though these are technically higher since they're legendaries, there just isn't a lot of demand for them because a lot of people have a Banhammer and a lot of people are trying to, offer up their Toy Elf. They just don't want it anymore. So I'd say that these are probably the lower of the seasonal hammers, and of course VIP everybody gets if they are a VIP member and flee the facility. So last up is group 3, and we have nuclear waste and s'mores. I'd say that nuclear waste is more valuable. You can probably get a higher trade offering if you put up nuclear waste than if you put up s'mores. But if you find someone wanting a s'mores, they're gonna offer higher for that one. So again, looking at what people are asking for in the trade chat is so important when trading, and it's all about the demand. But since these are crate hammers that are available now, many people have them. So they're just high supply and low demand. And the last one up is Smash Bros. This is the lowest legendary on the value list in my opinion, so offering a couple seasonal epics or even just a couple seasonal rares should probably get it for you, and it would be an easy hammer for you to get back into your inventory as well. And that's my list. So there are so many hammers and so much that goes into trading for them. So I hope that this helps you make the right offer for your dream hammer. And don't forget to like this video if it was helpful and subscribe to my channel for more information. I plan on doing this for all the other level hammers, and then we're also going to do it for the gems too. And then leave me a comment on what you think about the value list and what you might change. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Have a great day.